Okay, so today we'll be working on a 2004 Toyota Tacoma. The customer, we have charged this thing with Freon a couple months back. Customer says that it never really got as cold as he remembers it as a new vehicle. It's been a while since the AC hasn't worked. So it still had the same amount of Freon. We didn't verify that there was a leak. But judging on how the components look, the dryer is pretty rusty. The coating is coming off the condenser. These would be the heat absorption. This would be taking the heat out of the Freon so that we can get a good cold temperature inside of the cabin. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace these as a performance for the AC. The filter system, plugged up and moisture saturated. Then if it broke up, it could have been caught in the condenser, restricting some flow. So this is our performance area of our AC. There is one more performance inside the evaporator. There is a orifice tube, the other side, the restrictor point. Unfortunately, on this vehicle, that is in the AC box underneath the dash. A little time consuming for that one. We're gonna try just to skip that one. It is the best way to do it. If you are trying to chase a performance, your expansion or orifice valve would be a point of interest. This one just is buried, and we'll knock it one piece at a time, I guess. So we'll go ahead, we'll get started with getting to the condenser. We're gonna go ahead and remove the grill, and that'll get us a good visual of what we're looking at. All right, so to remove the grill, we have a couple of Phillips head screws in the corner here. I believe we're just going to have these two screws, and then some clips we're going to have to depress the tab there. All right, to get the grill out, we're going to have to remove the light here. It's held in with some clips and overhangs this spot here, so it should just pull right forward on us. All right, so just go ahead and pull it out. There was a clip there, and then the one holding it. So we don't need to disconnect it. We can. All right, so now we have this loose. All right, so we have these clips holding them on. They basically just have a little tab inside of them. We just want to push the tab down, and then they pull out. There's a lot of them. They're pretty loose. Look, just that one was holding the whole row in. So we have some down low. So we'll just use a screwdriver to push that pin. Okay. All right, so we had some just clips on the side that were just pop-in clips. So these were the ones with the little tab that we just had to push down the tab to release them. So that exposed our condenser. All right, so once we got it all exposed, this is the dryer, basically the filter or the moisture catch for the system. Now, when you have a leak on, when you're leaking in the Freon from your O-rings or whatnot, from the refrigerant, once it hits the atmosphere, there's oil leaks out with it. The oil catches the dust. So good signs of leaks that have been there for a while is something like this, where we have a lot of corrosion or we have dirt buildup that just wipes right off. It's caught in the oil, and you can see it stops right here. So it's real safe to say that this fitting right here, the O-ring, is leaking, and this is where his slow leak is. Not enough to leak out over the months here, but that is the sign right there that the dust, the road grime, has stuck to the oil, and it's just in one spot. So that is also power steering and stuff like that. It's a good way to find out where the real leak is at. The dust sticks to the oil. The condenser is the piece that we're after here. You can tell this truck, you know, we're southeast Florida, so right on the beach. So this is pretty, everything's eaten up pretty good with rust. We're gonna go ahead and spray some PB Blaster on it. Now I'm not gonna mess with the PB Blaster around my AC fittings because I don't want to have any kind of cross-contamination. So we'll try to keep it isolated without getting near any of the other fittings. I just popped that little piece out there so I can just have a little bit more room to wiggle this thing around and lose some rust there. Okay. All right, so what we'll do is, it's like both lines come in right here. One, so this one here to here. So we'll try to keep it simple. We'll go for this connection here. We'll leave this one alone. This one here would be, you know, connected to the condenser. So we'll start disconnecting that. All right, so there was a plastic mount. A lot of brittle here. All right, so then that one came over here. This is all aluminum piping. It's very soft. So you definitely don't want to bend it, because if you bend it, you'll crack it. The coating's coming off of it. It's got a lot of corrosion around the outside there. We really don't have any other way to go with that one. So that's what we were trying to stay away from right there. We'll go ahead and try to just get the rest going, see where we get stuck at. Oh, okay, so we got some other, this bolt looks like it head's rusted pretty good. All right, so we're gonna have to take that one with it. Oh yeah, everything is coming apart there. So we might have to get some more hold downs and stuff. Okay, yeah. It's pretty corroded. We'll go ahead. See, there's another one we broke. Okay, so they're breaking the plastic mounts from the condenser. All right, so we're a lot of rust, breaking a lot of stuff. So what we went ahead and did is we went ahead and pulled the other component, the new component that we got from Auto Parts Direct to You. We want to compare what we have and what we have to salvage. So looks like everything that we were breaking from being brittle was this plastic mount on the side, and it looks supplied there. So now we're not really worried. So we just tried to take this bolt out over there and broke it, but we know it comes with the whole bracket, so we'll go ahead and get it on those bolts there. We'll see what else we can get to. All right, so now that I have it all loose, the bottom is just slipped into a rail. So we should be able to just pull it up. Pull the other side up. Oh yeah, there you go. So these are the heat sinks off of it. So it is definitely losing its ability to cool. So the corrosion has broken the bond. So the heat sink's not being able to pull the heat off of the Freon travels through these. All right, so now we have the condenser here on the ground. So this line here is another line that we're going to need to transfer over. So we had one bolt on the top we couldn't get free. We're going to go ahead and, so basically channel locks or a vice grip, something you can get a good bite and turn. So this has a nice cutout. So it is, these work really well. Oh, that's it. So just enough, it wasn't very tight. Oh, so a lot of corrosion in that spot there that we were suspecting the leak at. Oh, we can kind of see how we have corrosion all the way up and to the edge and down the roll. That means that whole area was exposed to the atmosphere. So this side is nice and clean all the way through, so we know this was our leak right here. So now we need to get this piece off right here. We want to compare, make sure we got everything. So we have the mount. Looks like we just have to change the angles once we put them up. Mount, we broke one mount, so there's that one. That's where we broke it. We have our mount for the AC line. Mount for the bottom, mount for the bottom. Looks like we lost the insulator. It's probably still on the vehicle. Our mount for our line. All right, so then we have that. We broke it. So everything looks good here. We can transfer everything around. What we need to do now is we need to clean up some components and change some O-rings so that we can mount it. What we'll probably do is we're going to go ahead and mount the condenser in the vehicle first. Then we're going to lay in everything else. We do have to still come up with a new way to mount the accumulator there because that bracket is deteriorated. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put the condenser back in. So we have to go back for that one mount that stayed in the truck. So go ahead and remove that mount. Now we'll go ahead and put our new condenser in. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and pull our O-ring off. No, so that O-ring, that was the line we were suspecting it to be leaking, and the O-ring just snapped right in half, didn't even stretch. So that's pretty good signs that that whole joint was compromised. We want to match up our O-rings. So far we have two. What we do is we just, kind of put them on top we want to make sure that the section width, the thickness of the O-ring, the diameter of the O-ring are all the same, because there is a lot of variations of this. So we've matched this one up, and we've matched this one up. So we'll go ahead and install it. Now what we want to do is we want to use some PAG oil. We want to lube up the O-ring. This will keep it from rolling, and it'll get a good seat so that you don't have any leaks. All right, so now we'll go ahead and we'll work on this side. Now we did break this mount. Looks like it's pretty rusty. This side here, we still have a good attachment to the vehicle. So what we'll do is we'll go in and we're going to zip tie. We'll zip tie this together, and then we'll make a zip tie around the back side of the bracket, holding it in. It's not really the correct way to do it. We should be replacing it. The idea is keeping it as secure as possible so we don't shake the lines and make them brittle and fatigue them and break them. So we'll go ahead and do this. This is rusty, the vehicle, and then as the customer, we've informed the customer he is okay with this, rather than waiting for the bracket, which would be either something we fabricated or coming from the dealer to correct that mounting point. So we'll just go ahead and zip tie. It's a good fix for, in the spot. We waited to the last minute to do this one here. We don't want to have any of the atmosphere interfere with the moisture. So right there, we'll pop that in. So we had one bolt that the head was no good, so we went ahead and we're changing it for another one. Okay, so go ahead and tighten this bad boy back up. Go ahead and put our horn back. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and line the, I'm gonna go ahead and push the bottoms in first. We'll go ahead and put the side marker lights back on. All right, so now we got everything back together. Okay, so what we did not do, and this is all preference to your theory of AC. Oil in the AC system, there is a specific capacity of oil. Oil is meant for the compressor. It doesn't really play any function anywhere else in the AC other than lubing the compressor. It does flow around with the Freon, so it does make its way around the system. Now we didn't add any oil to the dryer, which is an argumentative point right there. So really the compressor should still have as much oil as it needs in it. So what we're going to do is, now that we have the whole system up, there is some AC leak dye, and this is with oil. So we're going to shoot the oil in. This is a dye and oil mix. So we're just going to shoot a little bit in. We're not going to try to put that much in. What the accumulator and what the condenser had in it was probably very minimum. But being that the Freon does circulate around, there will be some more absorption in the dryer. So that's what we're doing right now. We're just trying to put back what was. So we could have put it back then, we could have put it back now like we're doing, and maybe not at all and wouldn't know a difference. That's just what we're doing right now. We're putting dye in. That's why we did not put any oil in, because we're going to do it right now. This oil right here, there's no penetrant inside this oil, so it will not push itself in. Once the system is running and we have enough Freon in it where the compressor is coming on, we'll use the compressor draw to take some oil out to circulate in the system. So we'll do that after we charge the system. We'll add a little bit, a half a shot, a couple seconds. This can holds about 5 ounces, 5 fluid ounces. So what we'll do now, so we have the vacuum pump hooked up. We have our gauge off. So to ensure that we don't have any leaks, so we'll pull down on the system. Give it just a second to, once it gets more of the moisture out, it'll become more stable. But we can go ahead and lock it out and watch our gauge. So we have our gauge shut and we're holding a vacuum. So what this is telling us, that all our new connections are all good because it's holding a vacuum. The vacuum is going to be more intense than the pressure coming out against it. So holding a vacuum means that we're all good. So what we'll know, we'll go ahead and let the system pull down for about a half hour. That'll evacuate all of the oil out of the system. I will go ahead and shoot it with Freon. Looks like this system says 1.43 pounds is the maximum. So we'll go ahead and shoot it with Freon. We'll put a little bit of dye in it. We'll take it for a test drive, and then that should be the complete repair for the vehicle for having gave a little bit more performance to the AC. Hopefully we get maybe 5 degrees cooler out of it.
Threads there.
And so if we were replacing the bulb,
then you snug them down. I'm going to put them on hand tight.
From the back side, still mounted up.
If you've ever installed
See, there's the clip.
aftermarket stereo on the
What it does is keep those pins from falling out, and the pins keep the pads from
being
falling out.
crooked, when you go ahead and install stuff like this, think about it, just do it. That one is hold it up here and it's a little bit crooked, and then you try to bolt it over here, they'll have to go in crooked, and you'll see there's a strip thread and cleaned up. That stuff
in the vehicle, you don't have to
avoid that.
I'll start with this one
Go
down
ahead
here.
and start in the middle. I'm going to hand thread them in, move over to the front left, like I want.
Move.
Driver's side.
It popped out a little
Same
bit.
thing, get your
All
fingers
right, once
under
you
there.
get this pin freed up,
new headlights in
you
now.
just knock
Okay,
it
so
out.
now they're all finger tight.
Okay,
It's
so we
what I
have
want
it
out
out all the
there.
way.
The factory
headlight
ones
from
again are
Auto
pretty much
Parts Rec
flat
here.
forward to the door. So your step pad for the rear is there, your step pad for the front is there. I like the position of them, so I'm going to go ahead and snug them up. You only need three different tools. You need a 12mm socket, and I'm using a 1/4 inch ratchet for the